and I spent my senior year at Looking Glass New Roads. For my senior project, I designed and implemented a curriculum for the women's group. In coming into FHS, I had my background in working with children. I knew I wanted to expand on that and perhaps work with families. However, that didn't quite work out like I thought. Instead, I chose internships with populations I had never experienced before, such as homeless, individuals with disabilities, and youth. I found in my experience that youth was the most challenging for me. I wanted to continue to grow and learn in my skills in that area, and New Roads gave me an opportunity to do that. Okay. Oops.
Down.
Awesome. Down?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, down. New Roads is an agency within the Looking Glass organization. They are a drop-in center for youth who are homeless or at risk of homelessness, ages 16 to 21. As you can see, they offer a variety of services, including basic needs and just a place to hang out. The services that I was most involved in were the street outreach and the peer groups at New Roads. The group I was involved in was women's group. My junior year, I helped out and co-facilitated a bit. It's something that I really enjoyed. I personally feel passionate about women and social groups. I believe that women can be very powerful, especially when they group together. However, there are barriers to this. Some of the things I noticed were that the women at New Roads were strong, but they often lacked social skills. They reported having no female friends or females they could trust. Research states that lacking this connection can lead to identity and self-esteem issues. Another thing I noticed was that some of the youth were raised to express their needs in unhealthy ways. They just didn't know how to interact positively with each other. As many of you may know, youth of this age group really value peer feedback. So a peer group is something that is essential to their growth and development. Women in particular struggle with unique social issues. A peer group for women discussing women's issues was vital for this population. My goal in these groups was for the women to have a safe place to express their feelings and practice social skills. Ultimately, I wanted the women to build healthy relationships with each other, and in that sense, a network of support. Oops, see, I did it again. Some of the women came to me at New Roads wanting more structure and engaging activities in women's group. I wanted to give these women a voice. I wanted them to play an integral role in planning of the curriculum. So of course I developed a survey. I wrote down every topic I could think of and asked for feedback about how the group was currently structured. What I found was the women didn't want to just talk about a few things. They wanted to discuss it all. They wanted guest speakers and group outings. Originally, I had planned to make my curriculum 10 weeks long, but I wanted to meet the needs of the women, and I wanted the curriculum to be used over and over again without too much overlap. So I decided to make the curriculum 20 weeks long. I knew that I wanted each week or session to have its own unique topic. The topics couldn't build on each other because it was a drop-in group. The sessions were about an hour long with group on Mondays from 1 to 2. When thinking about what to include within each topic, I tried to look at it from the youth perspective and what they would want to get out of it. I looked at it from different angles and sought resources for more information. For example, when designing my curriculum on nutrition, I met with a nutritionist about how to keep your body healthy when you're not sure where your next meal will come from. I didn't want this curriculum to be general. I wanted it to be useful and relatable. I wanted it to be tailored just for the women. I knew there were certain components that I wanted to include within each topic. I wanted these components to be the structure, and from there, I wanted things to be very flexible. I wanted a check-in or an icebreaker at the beginning. I wanted a general discussion about the topic and what it meant to them, and I wanted an activity, something fun and engaging. I added resources for more information and a list of guest speakers to each topic. But the end of women's group, that was what was most important to me. I wanted the women to come away with something, so I ended each session with a call to action, something they could do that day to improve their lives. I repeated this format for 20 weeks. I researched, I read, I found activities and discussion questions. I wanted this curriculum to be as comprehensive as possible. I wanted it to be flexible, structured, engaging, and informative. And that in itself was my biggest challenge, creating a curriculum that would do it all. Because New Roads was a drop-in center, I didn't know who would show up or what they would be interested in. So I try to create as much flexibility within the topics as possible. I would say my biggest challenge in implementing the curriculum was assuming that the women were ready for the group. That is, that they could have respectful group behavior. I found my first week that I was wrong. I found that the women had trouble taking turns when speaking and respecting other members in the group. I knew that some of the topics I wanted to cover were pretty intense, such as family dynamics and sex. I knew that we couldn't even touch those unless the women could get past these basic group norms. So we went back and we discussed some guidelines and talked about what respect was. And I'm really glad we did that, because once we did, the women felt much safer in the group, and the group flowed much more smoothly. Another challenge I had was defining what a successful group was. Sometimes I would finish a group and think, ugh, that was terrible. And after debriefing with my supervisor, she would remind me that actually that group was a success. Maybe they didn't get what I wanted them to get out of it, but they interacted positively with each other. And that in itself was a success. Sometimes we didn't even get to the topic of the day, because the women wanted to spend the whole hour checking in. And that's something I allowed and even enjoyed, as long as everyone was being respectful. I didn't want to come in with my plan of what I was going to do week to week. I wanted to let the women's interest inform what we talked about next. Of course, with any big project, self-care is always an issue. For me, I took time to myself and put my social life at bay for a while. Sometimes I felt as if I was doing too much, but looking back, I wouldn't have given any less to the group or the project. And of course, there's my fear of public speaking. Looks like I'm still alive. I wanted this curriculum to be implemented over and over again at my site. I designed it for someone who may not have a lot of experience in working with groups. I gave step-by-step instructions and resources if the leader lacked knowledge about a particular topic. In the future, and now, as I implement the curriculum, changes will be made to better meet the needs of the New Road women. One thing that's really exciting for me is that the women want to design and lead their own sessions, which I think is awesome that they're taking power in the group. As for the feedback process, things were pretty informal. The women would come up to me after group and tell me things they liked and didn't like about group, and I would make changes accordingly. The benefits of this group are clear and measurable. The women report feeling more comfortable and safe sharing their feelings in group. Some women even developed friendships with other women in the group. And one woman told me she felt she wasn't alone in her feelings anymore. And that was proof to me that the women were connecting on a much deeper level. I've learned so much from this project. I'm the type of person that likes to get things done right away. And although I did finish this project sooner than expected, it was a learning experience for me to work on it over a period of months. I learned about group dynamics and social cues. I learned to tune in to when the women were feeling safe in the group. I learned that group dynamics change over time, and that a new member can refresh the group or bring the group down. I learned that it's more about process than product when it comes to group. In my general experience at New Roads, I learned so many valuable skills in working with youth, and my role as a mentor. I learned about tough conversations and boundary issues. I learned that these women are so strong, and they work harder than anyone I know. I began to look at youth in a whole new light. My experience at New Roads has broken down many of the personal stereotypes I once held about homeless people. This project has benefited the women of New Roads and will continue to benefit me in my future career. But the biggest thing I've learned is that no matter how hard you work or how much passion you have, it's vital to have support. So now I'd like to say thank you to everyone who has helped me and supported me along the way. Of course, my friends and family, my site supervisor, Michelle Rindy, who went above and beyond to support me and train me, my partner, who reminded me everything would all work out, the New Road staff, the FHS faculty, and my amazing supervisors, Kimberly and Ryan, and of course the youth at New Roads, who've inspired me and taught me so much about life and gratitude. Without all of you, this project would not exist. Any questions? Oh, yes, sorry.
I'm curious about like the ground rules that you mentioned have before the start of each group. What do those look like?
Yes. Well, I kind of let the women design those. When we talked about like respect and and how people could feel safe in the group. Some of the things they said was, obviously, don't talk while someone else is talking. And that was sort of a rule that was really hard for them to get going. I had to constantly remind them, oh, someone else is talking. And I thought about maybe implementing like a talking stick or something like that, but they weren't really into that idea. So we just had those reminders. And because the group was a drop-in group, every single time before each session we had to sort of go over the rules. That way everyone was on the same page.
Then along with that, how often would you have the same women in group consistently? Or was it usually like new women every single time?
Well, we had a couple of regulars, probably about 3 or 4 women that would come pretty consistently every week. And then sometimes we would have a woman come in and it would be really great and she would contribute, but then we'd never see her again. So it was really hard having those dynamics change each time. No.